All right, guys. The attendance tonight was 18,625, sold out. We broke the gate again for North American record for a fight night, 3.06 million. The fight of the night was Swanson and Billy Q. Performance of the night goes to Michael Johnson and Jacoby. They all won $50,000. What's up? What do you got?
Dana, congrats on a great event.
Thank you.
Crazy knockouts.
Yeah.
First of all, we'll start with Buckley. Amazing performance by him. Colby obviously suffered the cut, which kind of screwed him up. But give us your thoughts on that fight and how it played out.
Yeah, I was curious to see how it would go if it went 5 rounds, if it went later in the rounds. No doubt that was a bad cut, but that fight doesn't get stopped in Vegas. That fight keeps going in Vegas.
You think it could have gone?
100%.
Okay. What did you make of Buckley's performance? Since moving to welterweight, he's really improved. He's showing himself to be a real contender at that division.
Yeah, listen, you go in and beat Colby Covington, it's a big deal. Love him or hate him, the guy's a dog, fucking tough as nails, took big shots to the body of the night, took big shots to the head that would have knocked a lot of people out. Colby's durable and tough, but, when you get cut, anything can happen.
Do you feel like for Colby, then, he shouldn't sort of be too hard on himself after this, right? Because the cut, it was bad. You could tell it was bothering him.
It was definitely bothering him. And literally, as soon as the corner would fix it, he's waiting to walk back out, and he rips it open again and makes it start bleeding again. So that alone tells you that the cut was bothering him big time.
Just as looking at the Adrian Yanez fight, I don't know if you saw that, but he got kicked in the nuts and poked in the eye at the same time. The referee didn't take a point. In situations like that, would you like the referee to be a bit more involved and take points, or do you hope that they don't get involved and kind of influence the fight like that?
I have no idea. I mean, yeah, I would say that a double foul is probably definitely worthy of taking. So I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. We did looking for a fight. The Korean Zombie show, and I felt like the judging and the reffing was better over there in Korea than what we got going on. So, listen, I've had a lot of problems with judge and reffing over the last several fights.
Yeah. Last event of the year, so let's take a look back at this year. You keep breaking records, like you said. With the gate records for fight nights, what do you attribute that to? Why do you keep breaking records every time you go and host an event?
The business just keeps growing. I mean, the business keeps growing as we continue to go into places that we haven't been in a while. Who wants to come? Who walks out of here tonight and goes, yeah, I don't ever want to do this again? It just doesn't happen.
When you look back at the year, right, you had some pretty crazy one-off sort of monumental moments. For you personally, which one are you most proud of? Are you proud of 300, the Sphere, 303, getting that put back together on 2 weeks' notice? Which one are you most happy with?
You're not wrong. And I've been saying this as the year is closing. Every year for the last 17 years, I've said, how do we beat this year? And every year we do. But not just this year, but the Sphere is probably the greatest thing we've ever pulled off, ever. And you notice, not only has nobody done it again yet, or nobody's even talking about doing it. It's just what we pulled off and what we achieved at the Sphere. It might never be done again.
Putting you on the spot, fighter of the year, Alex Pereira or Ilia Topuria? Which one are you going with?
Fighter of the year? Yeah. It's tough with those two. It's tough. And when you look at Alex, he's taking last-minute fights. He's on vacation, comes in and fights, not 100%, comes in and fights. I mean, it's tough. I don't even want to say a name, but I respect the shit out of both of them for what they've done this year.
Okay, and last one from me, a little bit of a random question. I wondered if you could do me a favor, call up your friend Trump and find out what these drones over New Jersey are, and if we can get a...
Find out if he's what?
Found out what these drones over New Jersey are.
I think he posted it today, what they were.
What are they? Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Hey.
Buckley called out Usman. Is that a fight that you think makes sense?
Yeah, listen, Usman's one of the best ever. I didn't hear him. I didn't know that, but yeah. That fight doesn't suck.
And overall, what do you think of Colby? I know the fight was stopped from a cut, but from a performance standpoint until the stoppage, what do you think of it?
Yeah, listen, Colby's an older guy that fights, every once in a while. He's always durable and he's always tough. Like I just said to him, did you hear the body shots he was getting hit with tonight and the head shots he took? That stuff would have stopped, other guys. Colby's tough. But I also feel like Colby wasn't too pissed that that fight got stopped by the cut. The cut was definitely bothering him.
Mano Cape had a lot to say, right? You guys had a combo there.
Yeah, we
and
had
then
a nice conversation tonight.
Yeah, he's like, you were like, yo, I'll meet you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Did you get to talk to him? And if so, how was that conversation?
How do you know what we were talking about? That's fascinating. Yeah. He said, you know, I this, that, that. I said, well, let's finish this one first. You got 5 more minutes. So, and he went out and he did it.
Is he getting the next title shot at flyweight, you think?
No, he's not getting a title shot, but we'll definitely give him what he's looking for.
Okay. And Cub Swanson, a veteran of the game, you know, WEC still out here representing. He said that he might retire. He still doesn't know. He said we'll see. But if this is the last performance, I mean, what a way to walk out, right? If this is
it is the way to go. And what's funny is he says, I promised my wife this would be my last one, but I don't know. We'll see. You know, when a fighter wins, and especially wins as spectacularly as he did tonight, it's just so hard for these guys to walk away. But to be honest with you, if Cub says, you know, I promised this to my wife, I'm going to walk away, I'm happy for him. If he says, you know what, I definitely got one more in, I don't disagree with him.
And I want to ask you about Ilia Topuria. Earlier this week, he said he wants to go up to 155 and fight Charles Oliveira. I'm sure you probably heard of those comments. Is that a possibility for him?
I didn't hear that.
Well, he's interested in
I don't
fighting.
know. I mean, right here, right now, I don't know.
Okay. And any word on potentially going to Spain? I know that's a market that's been blowing up. Obviously, we just saw.
No new news on that, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm 25. I want to go to a lot of places that we haven't been. I'm sure you're already hearing rumblings of places that we're going to go that we haven't been to in a minute. But Spain is definitely high on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana, you said that Manel's not getting a title shot at 125 after this performance. Who is getting a title shot?
No clue. Sitting right here, right now, no clue.
Dustin Poirier said has been teasing one last fight, his last dance, and recently he was on Twitter and he said basically that he's got something cooking and that quote unquote there will be blood. Have you guys planned something for Dustin? You don't have to like reveal obviously.
No, we're in the middle of talks for him with something that he wants to do for the end of his career. Yeah.
And then one other thing I wanted to ask you about is obviously you're asked about the PFL and the competition all the time, but I don't know if you saw there's another league that's going to be starting up, the GFL, and there's a wide array of names, very familiar names, a lot of names who have fought in the UFC that are there, and people are reacting in certain ways. A lot of really old retired fighters that are trying to get back in there and make. I mean, that's just basically what it is. But what was your reaction to not only this new league starting? I know it's been teased for a couple of years, but we're actually seeing some of the roster. What did you?
I actually don't know anything about it. I say this all the time. I welcome everybody. You know, listen. There's no barrier to entry to get into this sport. And, you know, I hear a lot of people saying that we don't do this right, we don't do that right. Come on in, everybody. Dive in.
Yeah, so some of the names mentioned, Tyron Woodley, Fabricio Verdum, Anthony Pettis, Junior Dos Santos, Luke Rockhold, Frank Mir, Arlovsky, Benson Henderson, Vanderlei Silva, Gegard Mousasi, and the list goes on and on. There's a lot of names like that, especially seeing like Vanderlei's name on there. Probably the one that sticks out the most. What do you think when you hear that name as a guy who potentially could be fighting?
Fascinating. I'll believe it when I see it. Yep.
Hello, Dana. Here.
Hi.
I'm gonna do some questions in Spanish. Fabiano will translate.
Yes, sir.
First of all, bueno, lo primero de todo, quería saber cómo valoras la actuación de Joel el Fenómeno Álvarez después de haber noqueado de esa manera a Drakkar Klose.
First of all, how do you see the performance by Joel Alvarez? Another great performance by the Spaniard, Joel Alvarez, tonight.
Yeah. Obviously, I was just saying to him, looking very forward to going to Spain and trying to figure that out. So, yeah, hopefully, great performance, but hopefully we're going to see more Spanish fighters in the UFC.
Tremendo desempeño, pero esperamos, como estaba mencionando, que nuestra intención es ir a España y espero que vamos a ver más performances como este en la UFC.
And one of the things that happens is when we go into a new market that we've never been, and you introduce the people to the live event, whatever size the arena is, you assume will sell out or come close to selling out, and you create this explosion in the market in these different places. And I look forward to doing that in Spain.
Y lo que pasa cuando entramos en un mercado nuevo, hacer el evento en vivo, en una ubicación, en una arena, lo que sea deportiva, no importa el tamaño, siempre va a introducir o va a presentar a toda la gente al concepto. O sea, hay una explosión de interés por el deporte y creo que es eso que queremos hacer en España.
Joel tiene 22 victorias profesionales y 22 finalizaciones. ¿Crees que ya tendría la entidad suficiente como para ser la pelea estelar de un Fight Night en España en lugar de un pay-per-view si es más complicado llevarlo a nuestro país?
Joel's got 22 victories and 22 finishes. Do you think that right now he's got the cachet and he's got the record to perhaps be a main event in Spain, meaning a fight night, way easier than doing a pay-per-view?
Yeah. No, I think if we go first time in Spain, you go big and you do a pay-per-view. Make it a big event.
O sea, que la primera que fuera en España, que sería un evento numerado.
También ha trasladado Joel durante esta semana que tenía la intención de pasar al peso welter, bueno, pues por la dificultad siempre del recorte de peso siendo tan grande. ¿Crees que es una posibilidad para él o preferirías que se mantuviera en el peso ligero?
And he actually mentioned throughout the week and after the fight that he wanted to jump from 155 to 170 at welterweight because his weight cuts are really hard. How do you see that, him being another one jumping from 155 to 170?
Yeah, I don't love when guys jump around. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know.
No me gusta cuando hacen eso, pero de cualquier manera vamos a ver qué pasa.
Las for me, la última pregunta, es respecto también a Ilia Topuria. Dijo en el partidazo de la COP, es un programa famoso en España, que su intención era ir a por el cinturón del peso ligero y como Makhachev ya tenía pelea, quería ir a por Charles Oliveira. ¿Esto es una opción real? Y en caso de que eso no sea una opción real, ¿Alexander Volkanovski será el siguiente rival de Ilia Topuria?
Piggybacking on the question from before, this week Ilia Topuria in a big show in Spain mentioned that he's pretty much done with his current weight division. He would like to jump up and face Charles Oliveira, meaning that if he's not available there, or if that doesn't happen with Charles, would Alex Volkanovski be the next one then to face? If he doesn't go up and doesn't face Charles Oliveira, would that be Volk against Ilya?
Same response. I have no idea right now. Listen, this is the last fight of the year. We're off for a month. We'll get our shit back together in 25 and we'll figure out what's next for everybody.
Lo mismo de antes, la última pelea tenemos 4 semanas de vacaciones. Deja que vamos a concluir las cosas.
Dana right here. What did you think of Michael Johnson tonight? Kind of turned back the clock, big KO, and then he came back here and said, I want to do this 5 more years or more.
Yeah. Well, listen, tell me the last Michael Johnson fight that sucked. I mean, that guy comes out first round, guns a-blazing. You know, he always tries to win. He's a fun guy to watch. And, yeah, been here for a long time, and I'm happy for him.
And you just said you don't love guys jumping around, but earlier this week, Michael Chandler said, hey, I'd go up to 170 to fight Colby. Is that something you would consider?
Everybody's talking about, you know, I don't know. I have no response to any of those types of, whatever the fighters are talking about. Every Tuesday we get in a room and we'll figure out what's going on.
Fair enough. Thanks very much.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't really pay a lot of attention to the talk. I literally, people will go, oh, did you know this guy? And I said, no, I have no fucking idea. I don't pay attention to any of this shit. I live in my own little bubble, and we do our things on Tuesday, and we figure this stuff out. And, yeah, I don't hear a lot of this stuff. Unless this woman right here tells me I don't know about it. Go ahead.
Na semana passada eu te perguntei se haveria evento no Brasil. Você confirmou, mas não sabia exatamente onde. Eu queria saber se você já pode falar para a gente se no Brasil, no ano que vem, vai ser um evento numerado, um pay-per-view ou um fight night. E quem sabe se você já pode dizer onde vai ser no Brasil o evento.
Last week at 310, I asked you if you were going to go to Brazil in 2025, and you said yes, you just didn't know or wasn't going to say where yet. Can you say something about the future Brazilian city? And are we going to see in the first semester a pay-per-view or fight night? What is it going to be like?
This is what I can tell you. Right now, while I'm sitting here in Tampa Bay, I have a bunch of people in Brazil on a bunch of different levels in meetings in Brazil for lots of things that are going to go on in 25 in Brazil.
Que eu posso dizer para você que tem muita gente no Brasil nesse momento que está, enquanto que ele está aqui em Tampa, tem um pessoal no Brasil se reunindo para tentar acertar a casa e ver outras coisas e muitas iniciativas no Brasil para o ano que vem.
Dana, here to your left. With such a big year this year, and we know that you have such high ambitions, what's the goal looking like for 2025?
Yeah, like I was just saying earlier, like every year over the last 17 years, I've said, how is next year going to be bigger than this year? And some of the stuff that we're already working on is, like I was just telling this gentleman in Brazil, and on multiple levels, not just, UFC. We got power slap meetings going on down there. SLS, which I own a piece of, did an event down there today, and UFC stuff that is being worked on right now in Brazil. We're talking about, Spain and all these other places. Not to mention Seattle and Chicago and these other places that we haven't been in a long time. So I anticipate a lot of big fights. I got something in the works right now. I'll drive you fuckers crazy. All you guys will be running around. I got something in the works that you will never fucking see coming for 2025. That literally started to come together last night. And, we got some fun stuff coming up.
And just one more for you, Dana. With the first pay-per-view of the year being at the Intuit Dome, we know it's a state-of-the-art arena with the Halo screen. Not to mention there's the interaction that they show during the basketball games with fans. Do you guys have anything special for the ambiance plan for that event?
Yeah. I won't treat you like the guy that asked me that last weekend. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, the guy said, are you going to do it? I said, no, we're not going to do any of it. Yes, we're going to. I'm excited to go to that arena. That's another one. We haven't been to LA in a long time. And to go into, ever since we did the Sphere, my philosophy is arenas like that are going to start popping up all over the world where, there's a lot more, as technology gets better with the screens and, the quality of stuff that you can do. I mean, how many, were any of you at the Sphere? I know you were, but, come on, right? So I just went and saw the Eagles, which is fucking incredible. I love the Eagles. I'm a huge Eagles fan. I'm a huge Joe Walsh fan. And the stuff that they put on the screen was really cool. That went with the music and stuff. But when you see what we did at the Sphere, it's just like, I don't know if that will ever be done again, We spent over $20 million on it, and it was a one of one, and it was a fucking amazing night. If my production team doesn't win every fucking award that exists in production, they're full. All the awards are full of shit. They're all full of shit. Tell me one fucking sporting event in 2024 that even comes within 100,000 miles of what we did at the Sphere. So the answer to your question, sir, is yes. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
One more question about 311. It will be a really tough tournament in the terms of security. 2 guys from Dagestan, 1 guy from Armenia, 1 guy from Georgia, and we have seen a fight between Merab and Umar on the last pay-per-view. So if compare this tournament 311 to the event with Khabib and Conor, there will be more security measures in LA or the same?
We're going to reduce security when we go into LA for that fight. We'll cut it in half. We'll be okay, sir. That's what we do. Obviously, the Khabib Conor thing we were ready for. One guy missed his leg by fucking inches from keeping him from jumping over, but it happened. We'll do everything we can to make sure that it's safe there.
And quick one from me. You said that you watched the Korean Zombie Fight Night. What's the destiny of the guy from press conference in Abu Dhabi? He lost by decision, so his road to UFC is now closed for now.
Yeah. No, I picked the other guy. I don't know if you wouldn't know that, but I picked the other guy. He won the fight. He looked damn good doing it. He was the better, well-rounded fighter. The other kid looked very one-dimensional. And the Korean Zombie told me he had a lot of problems with that kid that week, threatening to pull out of the fight if he didn't get more cornermen and crazy shit like that. So, yeah, played out the way it should have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good?
Dana,
Yeah.
Real quick, since this is the last time we'll speak to you probably for the remaining of the year, Jones versus Aspinall, is that sort of the big priority, and you think that's the biggest fight the promotion can put on in 2025?
100%. And I think it's probably the biggest fight in heavyweight history, and it's a massive fight in the history of the company too. It's a big fight.
Yeah, we know Tom Aspinall's down. Jones is kind of like on the fence, or at least that's what he said publicly. But
Right.
Have you talked?
It's weird.
How confident?
What's weird about that? Let me tell you what's weird about that. So usually, those guys say that shit behind the scenes and not publicly. John says that shit publicly, but not behind the scenes. John is a very unique individual to deal with. From day one, I've been confident that John Jones would do that fight, right? I mean, even before the fight. I said if he won, there's no way John doesn't do this fight. John Jones isn't afraid to fight anybody, and that's a fact. And the only time that anything remotely weird has ever happened with John Jones was the time that his fucking camp did the weird Chael Sonnen thing. We can't fight Chael Sonnen on short notice. Other than that, and that wasn't him. It was his team, and he listened to his team for whatever reason. But that's like the goofiest fucking move in the history of the UFC. But other than that, John Jones behind the scene is not a guy that turns down fights.
Would you guarantee 100% we see that fight?
Yeah. I'll say 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dana, thanks for your time. I just want to talk about Colby for a sec because, I mean, he's already gotten his shot at gold 4 times if we're counting interim. After a loss like tonight, what's next for him?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask him that question. You know, he's obviously still one of the top-ranked guys. Like we were saying about him all night. Took big shots, stayed in there. The cut was obviously bothering him. But I also believe that if that fight's in Vegas, that fight doesn't get stopped with that cut. And... but I don't think that Colby was very upset when it did. It was bothering him.
So you think that was almost a way out for him?
No, I'm not saying it was a way out. He didn't say, hey, look at my cut. The ref stopped the fight and called the doctor in, and the doctor called the fight. So it's not, he doesn't have a decision in that matter. So no, it's not a way out. I like the way you fucking spun that, though, and see how I would answer that. And then everybody would write, that isn't even in this fucking press conference, that Dana said Colby was looking for a way out with the cut. That's the fucking dumb shit that happens in these press conferences that drive me fucking crazy. So thank you, sir, but go ahead.
Thank you. On a brighter note, it was a good year for MMA in Florida dating back to 299. I mean, fans just seem to love the sport here. So is there a timeline for a return to Florida and maybe a specific venue?
Listen, Florida is the fucking greatest state in the entire country, man. It has been since day one of fucking COVID. And if you look at the way the state has handled itself and maneuvered over the last several years, I had zero expectations coming into Tampa Bay. I didn't know anything about Tampa Bay. This is an incredible city. Great hotels, restaurants. I mean, the restaurants are off the charts. People everywhere. The people here are really nice. You know, Florida is probably the greatest state in the country right now. Nobody can deny it. And then you meet all these people that moved here from lots of other places, and they couldn't be happier. And the answer is, yeah, Florida's fucking awesome.
I moved here from New York, and I agree.
You're the millionth person I've met from fucking New York that moved here too.
Yeah, it's awesome. I just got one more for you. Izzy just took his first non-title fight, and I mean, over 12 fights. So can you just walk us through how that one came together?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about that fight, we were tripping out. This guy hasn't fought in a non-title fight since like 19, which is a testament to how great of a fighter he is and has been over the last several years. And that's why we headlined him in Saudi on the fight night.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, and I'll see you next year.